How's it going, everybody? I'm Jeff Slakey, and this time I'm in the community at one of our 3 local community gardens, currently at Evergreen Elementary. We're going to go talk to Rachel Uberman about this and some other projects they have going on. Come on in here, Rod. So as you'll see when we come in here, there's about 15 raised beds that they've got working on. Now we're in the middle of winter, so it's a little different. But they're working on these projects and always trying to make things look real nice. And food supply is always a subject of conversation here in Mason County. Rachel, how are you?
I'm doing great. Just shoveling wood chips.
That's how it is. Rachel Uberman here, and she is working not only here at this garden at Evergreen, but there's also one at Bordeux and on the grounds at Mason General Hospital. So talk to me a little bit about the background of these, how they got started.
Yeah, so we started these gardens. Well, our first garden was up at Mason General Hospital, and it was started through Mason Matters and an AmeriCorps Vista volunteer position. And we started working with Choice High School. And with our older youth program, high school students have done a lot of the work building that garden up there. Actually, elementary school students built all of these gardens.
What's kind of the purpose for this? What's the behind the story here?
Yeah, so on a very basic level, we do garden-based education. But on a deeper level, we teach job skills and communication, leadership and health, all through a garden modality.
What is it about working in the garden or working with dirt that people find relaxing, calming, but also rewarding?
Well, I mean, nothing's more rewarding than planting a seed, watching that plant grow, and then getting to eat it. This kind of leads us into a project that you're working on and are asking the folks in Mason County, the greater community, to help out if they have, not everybody will have a garden space like this, but they may have enough space in their general gardens to add one additional row of what they're growing to help out Mason County. Let's talk about that. Yeah, so we thought it would be a great idea to start a gleaning program here in Mason County. And our first step in the gleaning program is what we're calling a Grow a Row Food Donation Coalition. And so all it takes is growing an extra row of food in the garden that you already have, maybe in your backyard, or if you have some more land, maybe you have a bigger garden or a farm. We have seeds that we can give to people if they're interested in participating. And what we do is we'll come and pick up the food for you and take it to one of our local food banks or food pantries or community kitchens.
So what are the types of foods? Let's walk around a little bit. What are some of the types of foods that you would hope that folks grow, or is it whatever you're growing, just add one more?
Yeah, so we don't have a refrigeration system right now. And so what we're really looking for are some shelf-stable crops. Potatoes are really great. We can do beans, we can do chard, we can do kale, we can do garlic. We don't want to do lettuce so much. Anything that's going to not be shelf-stable is not going to do so well in the food banks right now.
And then what's going to happen with that food once it's grown and somebody comes and either gets it or it's donated?
Yeah, then we will take it to one of the food banks. There's also a food pantry in Belfair, and we also have Community Lifeline here in Shelton, and they serve hundreds of meals a day. And so we will take that food and we will donate it to those local agencies, and they will give it to people who need it.
What is the need for fresh produce like in Mason County?
Well, currently we only have one garden that's growing food for one food bank. That's the Master Gardener's Garden. Other than that, there is no fresh produce that's being donated besides produce from Walmart.
And how does fresh produce, fresh fruit, fresh vegetable, how does that help? I mean, compared to the processed foods that perhaps are normally donated?
Sure. Well, that's a big question. I mean, my belief is that we are what we eat. And if we are eating healthy, locally grown, fresh produce, we're gonna feel better in our bodies. We're gonna have more energy to do the kind of things that we want to do. and life will just feel better because we're eating better.
Talk to me about the need for help, maybe just within the garden. Obviously, it's winter now, and so it looks like it's a winter garden.
Sure, yeah.
But come springtime, you know, depending on COVID and all that stuff, what's the story on assistance, on help, or is that by the kids?
No, well, we actually need a ton of help. So usually, especially during the summer months, our older youth employment program has 18 young people who we give a job to, and they work for us. They learn all about job skills and how to be a good employee. Because of COVID, we had to cut down significantly on the number of youth that we were working with. And yet our demands are just as high. We turned all of our gardens, the Bordeux garden, this garden, and the one up at the hospital, into gardens where we were producing food for Community Lifeline. And there's no way we could do it all by ourselves. It is an immense amount of work. We love having volunteers come and help us in the garden.
Do you have to have a green thumb?
Oh, no, I don't believe in that.
Let's go look at these rules of the garden.
Sure.
So this is a fun place because it is right next to Evergreen. It's on the Evergreen grounds.
Yes.
And so there is, you know, a lot of youth that comes through here. So these rules, how'd these come about? And let's go over some of these.
Sure. Well, you know, first and foremost, I want people to leave the garden feeling better than they did when they came into the garden. It's always great when you're feeling down to be able to just come outside and do a little work and breathe some fresh air and listen to the birds and see some beautiful things, and it makes you feel better. So that's the first and most important.
Sure.
But some of the really important ones are, you know, walking in the garden. We don't want anyone to trip. There are lots of sharp edges. It's important to use our walking feet. We respect the food and care for the food we grow. That's really important. One year, someone came and stole all our garlic. You know, like, the food that's grown here is grown by children, and it's for children. During these times, you know, we're growing food for the food bank, but just because we're not here all the time doesn't mean that it's not being cared for.
Tell me a time that you remember a student that their first time perhaps here, and you go, well, this may not be the best fit for you, but then they kept coming back or whatever and totally changed either their attitude or your attitude towards them.
Yeah. Well, I had a student once, and I was working in their classroom at school, and we would work in the classroom, come out to the garden a little bit, and he was not very willing to participate. And I was very surprised when he applied to work during the summer program. I didn't seem like he enjoyed himself. I couldn't understand why he would want to continue. And he was a totally different person, being out of school in this really new environment. We play games, we talk a lot. We have a very familial-like dynamic when we're all working together. And he has been one of the most amazing young people that we've worked with.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, actually.
So we are here again at Evergreen Elementary at the Hope Garden, but there is one at Bordeux. There's also one on the grounds at Mason Hospital, and there is the heavy need, not only for vegetables in our community, but more programs like this for the kids to learn and get their hands dirty and understand where the food comes from. It doesn't come from the grocery store. There's processes before that.
Yeah, and amazingly, I mean, I have young people all the time who've never even tasted a raspberry. They've never eaten a grape. They've never had a radish. This is their first opportunity to eat some of these things.
So if you have a garden in your yard and you want more information, we'll put the links to this, the Hope Project, on this video when we do that, and folks can get in touch with Rachel here as well to help out as we move into the spring and summer. Thanks for some time.
Thank you
for
coming
you.
by. Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing how the garden grows here as we move into the spring.
Me too. It's going to be a beautiful spring.
I think so.